Hello everyone, welcome back to 10-minute recaps. Today we'll be watching episode 1 of Hellbound, one of the hottest Korean dramas of 2021. It's a thrilling fantasy that also raises some big questions about morality. Without further ado, let's get into it. The story starts in a cafe in Seoul, where a bunch of friends are discussing a cult that's recently become popular. The cult believes that God is sending humanity messages by punishing sinners with demons on earth, and it's gained a lot of followers because there are videos of these demons burning sinners to a horrifying crisp. Behind them, a man is nervously looking at his phone as if he's waiting for something. The time hits 1:20 and we hear a sudden thud in the distance. All of a sudden, 3 huge black smoky monsters burst through the doors and start throwing the man around like a toy. Donkey Kong has come to life. The man desperately tries to escape from these demons, but they are harder, better, faster and stronger. They hunt him down the street and eventually burn him to a charred skeleton as Seoul looks on. Then they literally vanish into thin air. Unsurprisingly, the case creates quite a stir in the public, and the police want to solve the mystery as quickly as possible. Jin Kyung-hun is an experienced, cynical detective who doesn't believe any of this stuff, and he gets sent to check out a new truth cult that's been talking about similar incidents overseas for a while now. The leader of the cult, Jung-jin-soo, is giving a sermon next to the scene of the crime. He tells his fervent followers that an angel will appear before people who have sinned, telling them the exact time of their death. When that moment comes, 3 Donkey Kongs will appear to burn the deserving sinner to death. They're not murders, but a warning from God to all the sinful humans. People need to live a righteous life to not be punished. If he gives this exposition to his followers every time he talks, I'm amazed anyone is listening to him. Kyun-hun is completely dismissive of a lot of fanatics, but disturbingly, he runs into his daughter volunteering with the new truth when she's supposed to be at school. Jin-soo seems to be close to her as well. When he's talking to the detectives, he tells the detectives his backstory. He grew up an orphan and had a sad childhood. He was so dissatisfied with life that he decided to commit suicide. But he didn't want anyone to see his body and be scared, so he decided to die in the middle of nowhere. But when he got to Tibet a decade ago, he saw a demonstration right in front of him, and he found a purpose in life: to start the new truth and spread God's message. He also brings up that Kyun-hun's daughter had told him his wife had been murdered by a drug addict before being let off lightly by a lenient judge. It's clear that despite Kyun-hun's daughter claiming she barely knows the new truth, she's pretty deep into the cult. While they talk, across the city, Park Jong-ja, a single mother, is heading home after a hard day of work. When she gets home, her 2 cute children are there to surprise her. It's her birthday, and they've stayed up late to celebrate. But as the kids hold up a cake, a ghostly face appears out of nowhere and announces that in 5 days she'll die, and that she'll go to hell. It seems like she'll be the next to face Donkey Kong, but she won't be the next to face violence. There's a lunatic live streamer who belongs to the Arrowhead. The Arrowhead is an extreme version of the new truth, who don't just preach to the world, but use violence to achieve God's will. And the live streamer orders some members of the Arrowhead to beat up a sinner, a novelist who's gone on TV criticising the new truth. The gang of youths ruthlessly beat up the novelist until he repents his sins. The shocking crime is noticed by the police, and some of the gang are quickly brought in the next day. But they laugh in the face of the police and are completely unrepentant for their crimes. One of them even says that they're not scared because the world will be different by the time they get to court. The shell-shocked novelist is sitting next door, getting his statement taken by the police. His beating has started to convert him into believing the new truth. But Kyun-hun and his lawyer Min Hee-jin are still unbelieving of the whole thing, and incredibly worried at the increasing number of crimes that the Arrowhead is committing. After the meeting, Hyejin goes back to her office, where distressed Jeong-ja is waiting. She tells Hyejin about the ghost giving her the prophecy, and that she went to ask the new truth about it. The new truth wants to live stream her going to hell. This episode brings up some fascinating moral questions. Hyun-hoon's partner wasn't too fussed by the Donkey Kongs. Whether it's God's work or some mysterious humans committing murder, he's happy that these evil people are being punished. But Jin-soo believes that regardless of the people's crimes, they should be punished by the court system because that's the fair way. When Jin-soo was being interviewed by Hyun-hoon, he asked him whether he stood by that view even with his wife's murderer. He was only in prison for 6 years because he was a drug addict, and he's completely unrepentant after being let out. Can man-made laws really deliver justice? Or should a higher power be given the authority to punish sinners with its omnipotent knowledge of the world? How can you call the law fair and better if a cold-blooded murderer only gets imprisoned for 6 years? One thing the law certainly seems worse at is changing people's minds. We see how the murderer is completely unrepentant after being put in jail, but the novelist changes his mind on the hell demons after being brutalized by the self-proclaimed vigilantes. But what's the aim of justice, whether through the legal system or through vigilantes? Do we want to punish wrongdoers or reform them so they'll never do the crime again? The novelist may be changing his mind, but is it real, or is he simply scared? Do we want people to really change their minds and behave in what we see as the right way? Or is forcing them to believe what you believe through terror good enough? And finally, who gives the Arrowhead the right to punish the novelist? Even if they're right about the demons being messages from God, has God given them the right to punish sinners? Isn't God doing that himself with the demons? Surely, if the novelist really was sinning, God would burn him alive himself. The Arrowhead simply seems to be taking the opportunity to find any reason to beat people up and feel powerful. Let me know what you think about the questions that this episode raises in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.